Happy Monday, boot campers. I hope you guys are doing awesome. I hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to our online strength session number 2, following a very similar format to our last session. Of course, today we're focusing on our squat and pull patterns. Of course, I'm going to give options for our regular members and also our beginners as we go along, scaling the exercises as we need as we go along. Now today, like we did in our last session, we are going to utilize our weighted bags like we set up. So grab those shopping bags, throw some weight in it, and get ready for the session. During this session, guys, we're going to hit our 4 components. We're going to hit our mobility first. We're going to do some activation, get into our strength set, and then we're going to finish up with a bit of conditioning at the end. So let's get straight into it. We're going to get some shoulder circles going first. So once again, I'm not very good at counting, as a lot of you probably already know. So 10 reps of each of your exercises as you go with our shoulder rolls, taking them forwards as far as you can. So really squeezing the shoulder blades together at the back and exploring those end ranges. 10 forwards, then taking them backwards, really shrugging right up towards the ears, pushing down into the body. Basically drawing the biggest circle that you can with those shoulders. From our shoulder circles, we're going to go into Apley's reaches. So sliding one hand up the spine, one hand down the spine. Really try to open up the chest and lift your chin as you do this one. There is a big tendency to start collapsing and dropping down, but we want to avoid that at all costs. Trying to get those hands to touch at the back as best we can. Sliding together for 10 reps, 5 per side, before we take it down or move into dipping birds next. Dipping birds, basically we set up our stance at around about shoulder width, place the hands in the small of the back, and from there pull the shoulders back, bend and extend through the hips, standing up as tall as you can and maintaining that strong line from head to hip. So we don't want to collapse down as we do this one. Stay tall, push those hips back, and working for a set of 10 reps. From there, guys, we're going to do some shin lifts. So a little bit of balance, grabbing that shin, drawing it up towards the body. Staying as tall as you can once again. Grabbing that shin, holding for a second, as we basically take the foot up to the opposite shoulder. So left foot up to the right shoulder, right foot up, left shoulder, kind of deal. So nice and tall, 5 per side, 10 total. That's going to take us to some walking rock backs. So in a nice tall, or set yourself up in a shoulder width stance, reaching down into frog squat, we kick back, then rock back. Step back in, standing up nice and tall. Alternate the legs as we go. So we're basically trying to stretch out the hammy, open up the groin, stretch out the hips, as well as move through that squat range. So down, rocking back, working 5 per side, 10 total. Just remember, as we rock back, step in, keep the back leg nice and straight. If you really struggle with this, drop the knee down to the ground, roll back, and straighten that front leg. I'll change legs just so you can see. So if the knee's on the ground, we just rock back, lifting the toes up. However, if you can, keep the legs straight at the back as we stand back through. Nice and tall. Rock and change. Remember, 5 per side, 10 total. From there, guys, stay on the ground because we're going to go into some downward dogs. Setting up in the top of that high plank position. Once again, about a shoulder width stance with our feet. Pushing back through the palms, we lift the hips high. Straighten the legs and try and push those heels down. From here, we lower to the knees gently. Slide it through and lift up at the front. Hold for 2 seconds at either end. Lowering down. Driving the hips up, heels down, flatten the chest, lowering down gently, slide it through, lift up, lifting yourself up with nice straight arms as we do so. Pushing through, lifting tall, then to the knees. We're just doing 5 reps with this one, lifting up, pushing back, I believe it's 1 more, controlling it down, sliding it through, lifting up once again, and so forth. Next one, rolling onto our back, we're going to move into some dead bugs next. So lying down so we're flat on the ground, In this position, we want to pull the knees towards the chest. We roll the chest towards our hips, so we create that hollow position. Arms elevated by the sides. We're going left arm, left leg. Right leg, right arm. Working those same sides as we alternate. Working for a set of 10 per side. Keep that chest rolled forwards. So we're basically pushing the small of our back into the ground. Working for those 20, basically 10 per side for our dead bugs. From there, guys, we're going to move into a deep squat. So with this one, feet nice and flat on the ground. We're going to place the hands. We lift the hips high, drop back down, rotate to one side, rotate to the other side. Lift the hips, squat back down, rotate. At the same time as we rotate, we push that arm in and we reach up as high. So we're pushing the knee away and reaching up right high to the sky. Alternating and lifting, rotate and rotate. You'll do 5 of that little combo move. From there, guys, we're going to go into some weight shifts. So standing up tall, widen that stance right out to the side, and we're moving our weight, lunging out to the side, working from 5 per side, 10 total. Your goal is to stay as upright as possible and to achieve the deepest range possible. So use those hands, stay up nice and tall, 5 per side, 10 total with our weight shifts. Then last of all, some squat walkouts. So back down into frog squat, walk it out as far as you can manage, placing those hands, then walk it back into deep squat, standing up tall at the top, and back down again. So once again, only take it as far as you can hold those hips steady as you go. Setting the squat before you stand up. Of course, the goal with this one is to go as far out as you can. So if you can go into a full, what I like to call the super person, or into the fingertips, you still want to control what those hips are doing. But just take it to that point where you feel like, oh, my hips are starting to drop, and then hold that position, walk it back in, and stand up tall. You'll do a set of 10 reps there. For our activation, guys, we've got 3 exercises that you're going to do for 3 rounds. You've got your wall squats for 5, you've got your glute bridges for a set of 12, and then you've got 30 seconds worth of side planks on one side and 30 seconds of side planks on the other side. So I'll give you a bit of a run through on how this is going to work. Now, for your wall squats, this is a great one to really set some great positioning for your squats, and also helps to drive those knees out to get you in that optimal position. So at home, or if you're at the park or wherever you might be, find yourself a wall where you can set up unhindered, so there's nothing around that you're going to run into or anything like that. Set yourself up as close as you can. So you're going to have to find a stance that works, but ideally you want to get in as close to the wall as you can. Arms go out the side, and then we want to perform a nice slow squat, going down as deep as we can manage. Of course, don't bruise that chin or graze that nose on the wall. You want to try to set that posture as upright as you can. Of course, without actually falling backwards. So nice and tall, down we go, pushing those knees out and getting in nice and close to that wall. I want you to do 5 reps nice and slowly. If you find this a bit of a struggle, just set yourself out from the wall a little bit. So you might want to start out maybe half a foot length or maybe a foot length from the wall. Allow yourself to go down. As you start to loosen up and start to feel it out, try to get in as close as you can. Remember, you're doing 3 rounds of this, so you might want to start out a little bit and then just as you go, move in as close as you can. But ideally, you basically want those knees and the feet right up against those wall, or right up against that wall as you're squatting. Next up, guys, take a seat on the floor. So we're just setting up for some glute bridges. So when we set up for our glute bridge, we lie back, we get our heels jammed into the floor. We want to set up basically the same stance as what you would with your squat. So whatever stance you'd be squatting with, you just drop those heels down onto the ground, palms up. we set our body nice and flat on the floor. We drive those hips right up, pushing the heels into the ground. At the same time, try to push the knees away from the body, working for a set of 12 reps here. Lifting up nice and high, pause at the top so you really get a nice strong butt squeeze at the top of the movement. Then, moving into some side planks, set yourself a 30-second timer. You can use your watch or use a timer on your phone, but ideally on the forearm, we place our feet on top of each other, hand on the hip, and we want to get into a nice straight long line. So you don't want to sag at the hips, you don't want to be lifting those hips up, you don't want that chest to roll forwards. What we want is a nice proud chest, hand on the hip, holding for 30 seconds. If you do find this a little bit of a struggle, separate the feet a little bit so you get a bit more balance, or for our beginners, down onto the knees with a nice 90-degree bend. But when we're in this position, I don't want you sagging those hips down. We need to push those hips up. Cool, so a nice strong line once again down through the body. Remember, you're going to do 30 seconds on one side, flip over to the other side, and of course setting up, hand on the hip, nice and strong as you go. So remember guys, you've got your 5 wall squats to do. You've then got 12 glute bridges and of course 30 seconds per side of our side planks. 3 rounds will get you done before we head into our strength set. Okay guys, it's time for the strength set. We're going to do 3 exercises for 4 rounds. So grab yourself your weighted bag, the ones that you used last time, just grab one of those. You'll only need one for this set. Of course, just make sure the handles are tied and that you've double bagged it if you're using a bit of extra weight in that bag, just so that bag doesn't break on you mid-set. So guys, we've got squats for 8, we've got bag rows for 8, and we've got some bag presses for 8. So everything in this set is pretty much 8s, just to keep things nice and simple. So to kick things off, we're going to be doing some pause squats today. So with our pause squats, the real key to this is getting the timings right. It's very easy just to go through the motions and not really think about the timing. So what we want is a nice 2 seconds down, holding for 3 seconds, then coming back up for 2 seconds. So 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3, 1 and 2. So we want a nice tempo squat here. Of course, using body weight is great for your beginners and those that do struggle with their squats. Using this type of tempo for 8 reps is going to be pretty tough anyway. But just make sure of all those key elements, like we did with our wall squats. Nice tall posture, staying nice and upright, moving into a range that works for you, that allows you to keep your feet on the floor. Of course, if we want to load this, grab your bag that's preloaded with weight. We're going to hug that to the chest, staying nice and upright. Once again, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 and 3, and 1 and 2 is the tempo. So once again, nice and steady down, holding that bottom position, staying nice and upright, then coming back up, working for 8 reps with our bag pause squats, or even just body weight, especially for our beginners. Second exercise up, we did this one last week, but we're going to revisit the lunge row. So let's get into a nice long stance. Leaning out over the front, we want to bring that bag right in next to that front foot, and we're leaning on that front leg. Back leg is straight, and from here, grab the bag, scruffing it in that grip, and from there, we hold the body tight as we pull the bag back into that hip pocket, really bracing against any kind of rotation that's created when I bring that bag down and back into that hip. Of course, working for a set of 8 on one side, we're then going to move to the other side, replicating those key elements. Nice straight line all the way down to that back foot, leaning on that front leg, scruffing and holding that bag tightly as we pull down and back with the shoulder to bring that bag into that hip pocket. Once again, 8 per side. Last of all, to round out the set, grab your bag, picking it up and holding it on the chest, in a nice tall posture. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the butt. We're pressing that bag out, pressing all the way to the sky. Steady reps for a set of 8. Really being mindful not to dip and bend at the knees as we press. We want to keep the legs nice and locked, working for a set of 8 reps. Then of course, moving back into our pause squats, going back into those bag rows, and then into basically our strict bag military press at the end. Everything's 8 of course, and you want 4 rounds of those exercises. For our conditioning set today, folks, we're going to be working a time-based circuit here, working 4 exercises for 4 rounds. Basically working a chair split squat, bag drag, a frog jumps, and also some chair dips here. Now we're going to break this up into our regular set and our beginner set as we go, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Basically, we're just working 30 seconds at a time on each one of our exercises. So you will need a timer for this particular workout. Set that for 30 seconds on repeat. Then you need a nice, sturdy, solid chair, one that's not going to rock around all over the place. And you also want one of your bags, weighted bags from before. So to kick things off, we're going to get into our chair split squat. So what you want to do is set yourself up with a good amount of distance. Now you may have to fine tune this a little bit, but what we want is a nice vertical shin at the front. You want to be able to stand directly over the top of that foot, then be able to sink down without letting that knee go past the toes at the front. So if my foot was too far in, then as I go down, that foot at the back is going to push my weight forward, and of course my knee is going to push forward. It's too close. So once again, set yourself up so that I can get that nice vertical shin, and we want a nice full range as we work that split squat. Of course, we're working for 30 seconds, working that nice tall posture, keeping that chest up. You're going to feel a nice burn in that front leg. Then after 30 seconds, when the bell goes, we want to change it over. Once again, making sure that we've got that nice vertical shin, staying nice and tall. Now, if this feels kind of easy, but 30 seconds of these is going to be pretty tough, hold on to one of your bags and use that for a little bit of extra resistance there. Once again, 30 seconds one leg, 30 seconds the other. Then, next up, we've got our bag drag. So, bring your bag in, set yourself up in the high plank position, and you want your bag just off to the side here. So in our high plank position, go with a nice wide stance whilst maintaining a nice strong brace. Grab the bag and pull it through to the other side. Reach across, pull through, maintaining that strong line from head to heel all the way through. As we drag that bag from one side across the body, you don't want to push it this way. You want to basically drag it across backwards and forwards as we go. Working 30 seconds in total. Third up, or our third exercise, move the bag out of the way, give yourself a little bit of space, reach down, touch the ground in our frog squat, reach the hands up in the air, working 30 seconds of our good old frog jumps. Of course, if you want to add some extra weight to that, turn that into squat jumps by grabbing your bag, clutching it on the chest, and working that same movement. Of course, absorbing the jump and keeping that chest upright if you want to add the load to it. Finally in this set, set yourself up. Basically, you can take a seat on the chair for a second. Then you want to place your hands right on the edge. Make sure that you're not going to tip the chair over. Then from there, staying as tall as you can, sinking down, nice bend through the elbows, pushing through the heels of the hand. Basically, we can minimize how much body weight our arms are basically working here by using our legs a little bit as we go. If you want to add intensity to this, of course, almost sit there like you're trying to lift your heels off the ground. Staying nice and tall, so then all that body weight is going to be placed in basically the heels or the palms of those hands. Cool? So once again, working down so we get a nice 90-degree bend at the elbow, tall at the top, sinking down, tall at the top, maintaining a nice long torso as we work those chair dips. 30 seconds will then take you straight back into your split squats once again. So there's not a lot of rest with this. In fact, there's no rest with this particular exercise. But what you're going to find is the chair split squats will elevate the heart rate. Bag drags will bring that heart rate down a little bit. The frog jumps will definitely elevate the heart rate. And then of course the chair dips will slow the heart rate down a little bit. If you feel like you're gassing, just slow things down a little bit. You don't have to do 100 reps per exercise, so long as we're working for the 30 seconds. Just work to your fitness level. Now, as I mentioned before, beginners wise, I'm going to change this up just a little bit. For beginners, the chair split squat can be very difficult. So what I want you to do is to split the stance, making sure that you've got 90 degrees at the front, 90 at the back, so that nice vertical shin. From there, we're just doing body weight, split squats for 30 seconds, staying nice and tall, making sure that our body's not falling forwards as we go. Cool, so you'll do 30 seconds one side, 30 seconds the other. The bag drags will remain the same. So you see yourself up nice and tall. If you find that a challenge, set up on the knees, drawing the bag through. So I'll bring that through just to help illustrate what's going on. Through, nice and steady, working from the knees for our beginners. Third up, instead of your frog jumps, I just want you working some body weight squats. Nice and tall as we go, practicing all those key things that we've been practicing all along with our squats. Nice tall torso and keeping those heels and feet flat on the floor. Last of all, guys, working those dips. Remember, when we set up for our dips, you can use as much legs assistance as you need. So nice and tall, push through the heels. That way you can minimize how much body weight is actually being placed or that load placed on those triceps and shoulders as you go. So with the beginners also, just as a keynote before we finish up, is you're going to work not 30 seconds for the exercises, you're going to work reps. Cool? So you guys, for our beginners, we're working 3 rounds. You're going to be doing 8s of everything. So 8 per side split squats, 8 per side on the other side. You'll work 16, 8 per side bag drags, which will take you into 8 squats, and then of course 8 dips at the end. I think before I said 30 seconds, but once again for beginners, you're working 3 rounds of 8 reps of those exercises. Remember, for our regular folk, we're doing 30 seconds and you're going to do 4 rounds of those particular exercises. Cool? See how you go with that one, folks. To finish up, folks, we'll get a little cool down stretch happening. So what I'd like you to do is find a wall or something to hold on to. You can even use the back of your chair that you used in the last conditioning piece. From here, we're just going to grab our foot, pulling that heel into the butt, staying tall, squeeze, straighten the other leg and squeeze the butt of the other leg. So it allows us to stay nice and upright. In this position, you're still pulling that heel in, but what we don't want to do is arch the back to pull that heel in. Keep that nice tall torso and that rib cage down. We're working 30 seconds on one side before we change it over to the other side. Just pulling that heel in. Use the same arm or the same side arm as the leg that you're stretching, just so we don't twist the body if we grab across the body. So same key points, keeping the leg nice and straight, squeeze the butt and hold that nice tall posture. Once we finish there with 30 seconds on both sides, just moving in, push into that wall, or if you're using the chair, a little bit harder with the chair, see if you can find a wall or a door frame to push into. We're going to create a nice strong line, driving the heel down at the back. So we're trying to stretch the calf of that back leg. Pushing in, driving down. Nice big breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. You'll work 30 seconds on one side before we change it over to that other side. Once again, really trying to jam that heel down onto the floor, creating that nice straight line. Next up, guys, once again, you can use that upright for a little bit of balance. Cross one leg over the other. Then from there, we're reaching down to the ground, basically sliding the hand down the shin till we can either touch the toes or touch the ground. Just work to the range that works for you, using that upright, or I should say that chair or wall, just as a little bit of balance, just so you don't fall over. Holding that position, we're working for 30 seconds. Then we'll just change it over by crossing the leg over. Straighten those legs, reaching down once again. Just holding position, nice deep breathing, reaching down as far as you can. Working 30 seconds on one side and then of course 30 seconds on the other. To finish things up for today, we're going to move down to the ground. So into the high plank position, nice and tall, sliding that leg through. We're going to lie down onto that leg at the front, trying to keep our hips square to the floor. Nice big breathing once again, in through the nose, out through the mouth, sinking down. Once we get about 30 seconds out, change it over, sliding that leg through, laying it over on the side, and then sinking down, or seeing how low you can sink down onto that leg at the front. Once again, nice deep breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth. 30 seconds per side before making your way up to your feet. That's our workout for today, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. Tune in next time. We'll get another set of awesome exercises happening to help get that routine in place. Keeping things relatively simple at this point and then building on our intensity as we go. Basically to keep, once again, your routine going and also give you some options. While we may be stuck at home, maybe you can sneak outside, do these workouts in the garden, or maybe head down to the local park. It's still a great way to keep things moving. It's also a great way to stay sane. Tune in next time, folks, and we'll get another one going for you. Take it easy and I'll see you next time.